have hands to clasp, for his coming.
And they'll sing, and they'll sing, and they'll sing, 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 sing.
Shalom. This is Deacon DeForest Smith with the Lost Household, the Lost Sheep of Israel, and the King James Bible University. And today teaching is going to be about nothing new under the sun. This book was made for our remembrance of things of the past that our forefathers went through and what they did to displease Yahweh and what they did to please him, and to give repentance and for him to be our shield and our guide and our rock of salvation in a time of trouble. Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verse 9 through 11 and 13. The thing that hath been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done. And there is no new thing under the sun. Is there anything whereof it may be said, see, this is new? It hath been already of old time, which was before us. So we must precept this book to find the way of our ancestors and the way back to our Father, the Holy One of Israel. Verse 11, there is no remembrance of former things, neither shall there be any remembrance of things that are to come with those that shall come after. Verse 13, but this is what we need to do. And I gave my heart to seek and search out by wisdom concerning all things that are done under heaven. This sore travail hath Yahweh, our guide, given to the sons of men to be exercised therewith. Genesis chapter 15, verse 1. So we must daily go in these scriptures, and this should be our delight, to break bread in the scriptures, which is the doctrines, and learn of our ancestors and learn of Yahweh through the wisdom that is given in this book of remembrance. After these things, the word of the Spirit of God came unto Abram in a vision, saying, fear not, Abram. I am thy shield and thy exceeding great reward. Leviticus chapter 26, verse 1, 3, 9 through 12. So if we hearken to that voice, which is the word of God and these scriptures through the precepts, then he will be our shield through times of trouble and will be our reward when we go to sleep after we die. And judgment, we can get our heavenly bodies and come into the house of the kingdom. Leviticus 26 and 1. Ye shall make you no idols, nor graven image, neither rear you up a standing image, neither shall ye set up any image of stone in your land, to bow down unto it. For I am the Spirit of God, your guide. Verse 3. If you walk in my statutes and keep my commandments and do them. Verse 9. For I will have respect unto you, and make you fruitful, and multiply you, and establish my covenant with you. And ye shall eat old store, and bring forth the old because of the new. And the old store is the knowledge that was in us this whole time. But once we're pricked in our hearts by the word of God, then we'll bring forth the fruits of the spirit, which is the old, and become the new man, and get rid of the old. And I will set my tabernacle among you, and my soul shall not abhor you. And I will walk among you, and will be your guide, and ye shall be my people. So that by then we're gonna be in the covenant, and then we gotta keep the covenant in our hearts, and walk in His ways and His desires. Deuteronomy chapter 10, 12 through 13. And this is what we need to keep dear close to us. And now, Israel, what doth the Spirit of God thy God require of thee, but to fear, desire the Spirit of God thy God, to walk in all His ways, and to love Him, and to serve the Spirit of God thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul, to keep the commandments of the Spirit of God and His statutes, which I command thee this day for thy good. John chapter 1, 12 through 13. So we'll become servants once we receive that knowledge and keep it. But as many as received him, to them gave he power to become the sons of Yahweh, the servants of Yahweh, even to them that believe on his name, his way, which were born not of blood, nor of the will of the flesh, nor of the will of man, but of Yahweh, the Spirit. So we're going to worship him in spirit and in the truth. And we're going to circumcise our hearts and walk in the newness of the Spirit and the new man. Deuteronomy 29, verse 9 through 15, then 17 through 22, and 25 through 28. Keep therefore the words of this covenant and do them, that ye may prosper in all that ye do. Ye stand this day, all of you, before the Spirit of God, your guide, your captains of your tribes, your elders and your officers, with all the men of Israel, your little ones, your wives, and thy stranger that is in thy camp, from the hewer of thy wood unto the drawer of thy water, that thou shouldest enter into covenant with the Spirit of God thy guide, and into his oath, which the Spirit of God thy guide maketh with thee this day, that he may establish thee today for a people unto himself, and that he may be unto thee a God, as he hath said unto thee, and as he hath sworn unto thy fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. Neither with you only do I make this covenant and this oath, but with him that standeth here with us this day before the Spirit of God our guide, and also with him that is not here with us this day. So you see right there, there's nothing new. Even back then, he talked to our forefathers, but he was talking to us also, because the Spirit don't change, the covenant don't change. And we were in the loins of our forefathers back then in the wilderness. which we are in the wilderness today, doing the same thing, learning the covenant. Verse 17, and ye have seen their abomination and their idols, wood and stone, silver and gold, which were among them, lest there should be among you man or woman or family or tribe, whose heart turneth away this day from the Spirit of God, our God, to go and serve the gods, the little g's, the idols of these nations, lest there should be among you a root that beareth gall and wormwood. That gall and wormwood is the spirit of Satan that's resting upon your heart, and it's rotting you away, because you worth nothing to Yahweh, because you don't have the wisdom. Verse 19, and it come to pass, when he heareth the words of this curse, that he bless himself in his heart. See, that's what it is. That's the idolatry. Saying, I shall have peace, though I walk in the imagination of mine heart, to add drunkenness to thirst. The Spirit of God will not spare him, but then the anger of the Spirit of God and his jealousy shall smoke against that man, and all the curses that are written in this book shall lie upon him, and the Spirit of God shall blot out his name from under heaven, and the Spirit of God shall separate him unto evil out of all the tribes of Israel, according to all the curses of the covenant that are written in this book of the law, so that the generation to come of your children that shall rise up after you, and the stranger that shall come from a far land shall say, when they see the plagues of that land and the sickness which the Spirit of God had laid upon it. Verse 25, then men shall say, because they have forsaken the covenant of the Spirit of God, their God, of their fathers, which he made with them when he brought them forth out of the land of Egypt. So they gonna know we disobeyed, and this is why we in the bottom, in the ghettos, and we killing each other every day for the bag, just like Judas killed Yahweh for the bag. For they went and served other gods and worshiped them, gods whom they knew not, and whom he had not given unto them. And the anger of the Spirit of God was kindled against this land, to bring upon it all the curses that are written in this book. And the Spirit of God rooted them out of their land in anger and in wrath and in great indignation, and cast them into another land, as it is this day. That's why we spread it all out. We don't know who we are, killing each other, cousins killing cousins, and don't even know. Confusion of face. Deuteronomy 28 and 68. And the Spirit of God shall bring thee into Egypt, confusion, Babylon, captivity again, bondage with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. 1 Corinthians 3:16 through 20. Know ye not that you are the temple of Yahweh, and that the Spirit of Yahweh dwelleth in you? If any man defile the temple of Yahweh, him shall Yahweh destroy. For the temple of Yahweh is holy, which temple ye are. Let no man deceive himself. So don't be big-headed. and think you all that because we all one in Christ. We ain't nothing but earth and ashes. So why be proud? Why be pride and boastful against your brother? If any man among you seemeth to be wise in this world, let him become a fool, that he may be wise. For the wisdom of this world is foolishness with Yahweh. For it is written, He taketh the wise in their own craftiness. And again, the Creator knoweth the thoughts of the wise, that they are vain. So we don't boast. We boast in the spirit of Christ. That's who teaches all things, that dwells in us, that comforts us. 2 Corinthians 6, verse 1 and 14 through 18. We then, as workers together with him, beseech you also that ye receive not the grace of Yahweh in vain. Be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. For what fellowship hath righteousness with unrighteousness? And what communion hath light with darkness? And what concord hath Christ with Belial? Or what part hath he that believeth with an infidel? And what agreement hath the temple of Yahweh with idols? For you are the temple of the living God. Salvation, as Yahweh has said, I will dwell in them and walk in them, and I will be their guide, and they shall be my people. Wherefore come out from among them and be ye separate. That's holy, sanctified, says the Creator, and touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you, and will be a father unto you, and ye shall be my sons and daughters, says the Spirit of God, the Creator, salvation, Almighty. 1 Corinthians 12 and 2. And this is why we on the other side of the plumb line trying to make it over. You know that you were Gentiles carried away unto these dumb idols, even as you were led. So we got to work our way back by learning wisdom and the truth. Matthew 24, verse 4 through 5 and 11 and 23 through 26. And salvation answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you. For man shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, I am the anointed one, and shall deceive many. And many false prophets shall rise and shall deceive many. Verse 23. Then if any man shall say unto you, lo, here is Christ, or there, believe it not. For there shall arise false Christ, and the false lights, and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that, if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. So these are the idols that they worship. We gotta not take heed to them and just stay on the path of righteousness with our light. Follow the cloud. Follow that one voice. Behold, remember I have told you before. Wherefore, if they shall say unto you, behold, remember he is in the desert, go not forth. Because you got some people that went back to Jerusalem already. Are they doing the Feast of Tabernacles, living in tents in the desert or in the forest somewhere? But that's not what he wants us to do. He wants us to worship in spirit and truth, not carnally. Behold, he is in the secret chambers believe it not. Second Chronicles chapter 6, verse 6 through 8, verse 11, 14 through 15, and 30. But I have chosen Jerusalem, that my name might be there, and have chosen David to be over my people Israel, his beloved. Now it was in the heart of his beloved, my father, to build an house for the name, for the way of the Spirit of God of Israel. But the Spirit of God said to David, my father, for as much as it was in thine heart to build an house for my name, my way, thou didst well in that it was in thine heart, because that's where our tabernacle is supposed to lie. That's where he dwells. And in it have I put the ark, which is the heart of God, wherein is the covenant of the Spirit of God that he made with the children of Israel, and said, O Spirit of God, thy guide of Israel, there is no God like thee in heaven, nor in the earth, which keepeth covenant and showeth mercy unto thy servants that walk before thee with all their hearts. Because it's nothing new. And this is what we, a statute that we need to take heed as a fringe. Thou which hast kept with thy servant David my father, that which thou hast promised him, and spake it with thy mouth, and hast fulfilled it with thine hand, his power, as it is this day. Verse 30. Then hear thou from heaven thy dwelling place, and forgive, and render unto every man according unto all his ways, whose heart thou knowest, for thou only knowest the hearts of the children of men. So we need to circumcise our hearts before that day come that of judgment. Genesis 6, 5 through 7. And this is why we must circumcise that heart, that stony heart. And Yahweh saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And it repented the spirit, it reminded the Spirit of God that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. And the Spirit of God said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping thing, and the fowls of the air, for it repenteth me that I have made them. Amos chapter 5, 7 through 13. Ye who turn judgment to wormwood, and leave off righteousness in the earth, seek him that maketh the 7 stars and Orion, and turneth the shadow of death into the morning, and maketh the day dark with night, that calleth for the waters of the sea, and poureth them out upon the face of the earth. The Spirit of God is his name. Salvation, Jehovah, is his name. That strength, that strengthen the spoiled against the strong, so that the spoiled shall come against the fortress. They hate him that rebuketh in the gate, and they abhor him that speaketh uprightly. For as much therefore as your treading is upon the poor, and ye take from him burdens of wheat, ye have built houses of hewn stone, but ye shall not dwell in them. Ye have planted pleasant vineyards, but ye shall not drink wine of them. For I know your manifold transgressions, forgetfulness, and your mighty sins. They afflict the just, they take a bribe, and they turn aside the poor in the gate from their right. Therefore the prudent shall keep silence in the time, for it is an evil time. Proverbs 22, verse 1 through 3, 5 through 6, 12, and 17 through 21. A good name, a good way is rather to be chosen than great riches, and loving favor rather than silver and gold. The rich and poor meet together. The Spirit of God is the maker of them all. A prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. Thorns and snares are in the way of the forward. He that doth keep his soul shall be far from them. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. The eyes of the Spirit of God preserve knowledge, and the understanding of the Spirit of God preserve knowledge, and he overthroweth the words of the transgressor. Verse 17. Bow down thine ear and hear the words of the wise, and apply thine heart unto my knowledge. For it is a pleasant thing if thou keep them within thee. They shall withal be fitted in thy lips, that thy trust may be in the Spirit of God. And I have made known to thee this day, even to thee. Have not I written to thee excellent things and counsel and knowledge, that I might make thee know the certainty of the words of truth, that thou mightest answer the words of truth to them that send unto thee? So we won't have no excuse. This book is here, and we must learn now diligently through precepts. Second Chronicles chapter 29, verse 1 through 11. And this is part of our history, our forefathers. Ezekiel, Hezekiah began to reign when he was 5 and 20 years old, and he reigned 29 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Abiah, the daughter of Zechariah. And he did that which was right in the sight of the Spirit of God, according to all that David his father had done. He, in the first year of his reign, in the first month, opened the doors of the house of the Spirit of God and repaired them. And he brought in the priests and the Levites and gathered them together into the east street and said unto them, Hear me, ye Levites, sanctify now yourselves and sanctify the house of the Spirit of God, thy guide of your fathers, and carry forth the filthiness out of the holy place. For our fathers have trespassed and done that which was evil in the understanding, the eyes of the Spirit of God our guide, and have forsaken him, and have turned away their faces from the habitation of the Spirit of God, and turned their backs. And they have shut up the doors of the porch, and put out the lamps. So they there's somebody home, but ain't no lights on, and they in darkness in that house, and have not burned incense nor offered burnt offerings in the holy place unto the guide of Israel. So they leaning unto their own understanding. Because when you in darkness, the walls is gonna be your protection. Because you're gonna be bumping into all things. You're gonna be leaning, and then you're gonna end up falling. Wherefore the wrath of the Spirit of God was upon Judah and Jerusalem, and he hath delivered them to trouble, to astonishment, and to hissing, as ye see with your eyes, your understanding. For lo, remember, our fathers have fallen by the sword, and our sons and our daughters and our wives are in captivity for this. Now it is in mine heart to make a covenant with the Spirit of God, our God of Israel, that has that his fierce wrath may turn away from us. My sons, be not now negligent, for the Spirit of God hath chosen you to stand before him, to serve him, and that ye should minister unto him and burn incense. So don't be like our forefathers, not not having no light on in our house, because we supposed to be the light of the world, letting our light shine unto upon the world. Psalms 50:14 through 23. Offer unto Yahweh thanksgiving, and pay thy vows unto the Most High, and call upon me in the day of trouble. I will deliver thee, and thou shalt glorify me. But unto the wicked Yahweh saith, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes, or that thou shouldest take my covenant in thy mouth? Because they gonna do lip service. They ain't gonna take the covenant in their heart. They just gonna talk about it. Seeing thou hatest instruction, and castest my words behind thee. When thou sawest a thief, then thou consentest with him, and hast been partaker with adulterers. Thou givest thy mouth to evil, and thy tongue frameth deceit. Thou sittest and speakest against thy brother. Thou slanderest thy own mother's son. These things hast thou done, and I kept silence. Though thou thoughtest that I was altogether such an one as thyself, but I will reprove thee and set them in order before thine eyes. Now consider this, ye that forget Yahweh, lest I tear ye in pieces, and there be none to deliver. Whoso offereth praise glorifieth me. So whoso offereth confession glorifieth me. So we're gonna confess him with our with the covenant of our hearts to glorify him with the truth. And to him that ordereth his conversation aright will I show the salvation of Yahweh. Amos chapter 8, verse 4, 7, 9 through 12. Hear this, O ye that swallow up the needy, even to make the poor of the land to fail. The Spirit of God hath sworn by the excellency of Jacob. Surely I will not forget any of their works. Verse 9. And it shall come to pass in that day, says the Creator, salvation our God, that I will cause the sun to go down at noon, and I will darken the earth in the clear day. And I will turn your feasts into mourning, and all your songs into lamentation. And I will bring up sackcloth upon all loins, and baldness upon every head. And I will make it as the morning of an only son, and the end thereof as a bitter day. Behold, remember the days come, says the Creator of salvation, our God, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor a thirst of water for water, but of hearing the words of the Spirit of God. And they shall wander from sea to sea, and from the north even to the east. They shall run to and fro to seek the word of the Spirit of God, and they shall not find it. Hosea chapter 4, 5 through 10. Therefore shalt thou fall in the day, and the prophet also shall fall with thee in the night, and I will destroy thy mother. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, because thou hast rejected knowledge. I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me, seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy guide. I will also forget thy children. So those were the priests that was in that house that where there was no light. They closed the porch and put out the lights. As they were increased, so they sinned against me. Therefore will I change their glory into shame. They eat up the sin of my people, and they set their heart on their iniquity, their sin. And there shall be like people, like priests, and I will punish them for their ways and reward them their doings. For they shall eat and not have enough. They shall commit whoredom and shall not increase, because they have left off to take heed to the Spirit of God, those slow bellied beasts. Psalms 78, verse 1 through 6. My shield of Asaph, give ear, O my people, to my law. Incline your ears to the words of my mouth. I will open my mouth in a parable. I will utter dark sayings of old. And that's the tongues, which we have heard and known, and our fathers have told us. We will not hide them from their children, showing to their generation to come the praises, the confessions of the Spirit of God, and his strength and his wonderful works that he have done. For he established a testimony in Jacob and appointed a law in Israel, which he commanded our fathers, that they should make them known to their children, that the generation to come might know them, even the children which should be born, who should arise and declare them to their children. And that's where we lacked off at. Passing on this knowledge from generation to generation. It was cut off when we touched these shores and we became Americans in captivity in America. And we were scattered across the whole world, and we lost our heritage because we was taught by Gentiles of another God, deceived us with our own book. But now is the time for our remembrance, because we know how to read now, so we can pick the book up for our own selves and read. We don't need a man to teach us. All we need is precepts. Tobit chapter 2, 2 through 6. And when I saw abundance of meat, I said to my son, go and bring what poor man soever thou shalt find out of our brethren, who is mindful of the Creator, and lo, I tarry for thee. So he was going to wait. But he came again and said, Father, one of our nation is strangled and is cast out in the marketplace. Then before I had tasted of any meat, I started up and took him up into a room until the going down of the sun. Then I returned and washed myself and ate my meat in heaviness, remembering the prophecy of Amos, as he said, your feast shall be turned into mourning, and all your mirth into lamentation. So Tobit is a good book to be reading for our remembrance, because he uses precepts for the understanding of things that he was going through during those troublesome times that he went through. And he's a statue that we can look upon, and also in our times that we see now. um, Tobit chapter 1, 3 through 6. I, Tobit, have walked all the days of my life in the ways of truth and justice, and I did many alms deeds to my brethren and my nation who came with me to Nineveh into the land of the Assyrians. And when I was in my own country in the land of Israel, being but young, all the tribe of Naphtali, my father, fell from the house of Jerusalem, which was chosen out of all the tribes of Israel, that all the tribes should sacrifice there, where the temple of the habitation of the Most High was consecrated and built for all ages, for all ages. Now all the tribes which together revolted in the house of my father Naphtali sacrificed unto the heifer by all. But I alone went often to Jerusalem at the feast, as it was ordained unto all the people of Israel by an everlasting decree. So that's forever, everlasting decree, having the first fruits and tenths of increase. And with that which was first shorn, and them gave I at the altar to the priests, the children of Aaron. And Tobit was always steadfast in Jehovah through his tribulations in Nineveh. He always did good alms deeds. You should go back and read the book of Tobit. Psalms chapter 78, 7 through 8. And that book was written for our remembrance, that they might set their hope in Yahweh and not forget the works of Yahweh, but keep his commandments, and might not be as their fathers, a stubborn and rebellious generation. Because you see, Tobit said his forefathers, all of Naphtali, fell away, and they worshiped idols, and they went up to Assyria. A generation that set not their heart aright, and whose spirit was not steadfast with Yahweh. Tobit chapter 14, 1 through 9 and 11. So when Yahweh put his tribe on him through hardship because they was worshiping idols, we all one people. He just not gonna be the one profiting while everybody else suffering. But he gonna have comfort. And he did have comfort. And he got through what he had to do. So Tobit made an end of praising Yahweh, and he was 8 and 50 years, 58 years old when he lost his sight, which was restored to him after 8 years. And he gave alms, and he increased in the fear and the desire of the Creator, God, the guide of salvation, and praised him. And when he was very aged, he called his son and the sons of his son, and said to him, My son, take thy children, for remember, behold, I am aged, and I am ready to depart out of this life. Go into Media, my son, for I surely believe those things which Jonas the prophet spake of Nineveh, that it shall be overthrown, and that for a time peace shall rather be in Media, and that our brethren shall lie scattered in the earth from that good land, and Jerusalem shall be desolate, and the house of Yahweh in it shall be burnt, and shall be desolate for a time, and that again Yahweh will have mercy on them, and bring them again into the land where they shall build a temple, but not like to the first, until the time of that age be fulfilled. And afterward they shall return from all places of their captivity and build up Jerusalem gloriously, and the house of Yahweh shall be built in it forever with a glorious building, as the prophets have spoken thereof. And all nations shall turn and fear the Creator, the salvation, our God is salvation truly, and shall bury their idols. So shall all nations praise the Creator, and his people shall confess Yahweh, and the Creator shall exalt his people, and all those which love keep his commandments and statutes. The Creator of salvation in truth and justice shall rejoice, showing mercy to all brethren. And that's what Yahweh shall preach. And now, my son, depart out of Nineveh, because that those things which the prophet Jonas spake shall surely come to pass. But keep thou the law and the commandments, and show thyself merciful and just, that it may go well with thee. Wherefore now, my son, consider what alms doeth, and how righteousness doth deliver. When he hath said these things, he gave up the ghost in the bed, being 58 years old, and he buried him honorably. Deuteronomy chapter 4, 30 through 31. When thou art in tribulation, and all these things are come upon thee, even in the latter days, if thou turn to the Spirit of God thy guide, and shalt be obedient unto his voice, for the Spirit of God thy guide is a merciful guide. He will not forsake thee, neither destroy thee, nor forget the covenant of thy fathers, which he sware unto them. Deuteronomy 18, 17 through 19. And the Spirit of God said unto me, they have well spoken that which they have spoken. I will raise them up a prophet from among their brethren, like unto thee, and will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak unto them all that I shall command him. And it shall come to pass that whosoever will not hearken unto my words which he shall speak in my name my way, I will require it. I will require it of him. Isaiah chapter 13, 9 through 11. Behold, remember, the day of the Spirit of God cometh cruel, both with wrath and fierce anger, to lay the land desolate, and he shall destroy the sinners thereof out of it, those that don't listen. For the stars of heaven and the constellations thereof shall not give their light. The sun shall be darkened in his going forth, and the moon shall not cause her light to shine. And I will punish the world for their evil, and the wicked for their iniquity. And I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease, and will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible. So this is talking about the heathen that's dismayed at the signs of heaven. They ain't gonna have no sign. It's gonna be complete darkness for them. Because the constellations thereof shall not give their light. The sun shall be darkened in his going forth, and the moon shall not cause her light to shine. And these are the things they worship, the creations instead of the creator. Matthew 5, 10 through 18. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, For theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake. Rejoice and be exceedingly glad, for great is your reward in heaven. For so persecuted they the prophets which were before you. Ye are the salt of the earth, but if the salt have lost his savor, wherewith shall it be salted? It is thenceforth good for nothing, but to be cast out and to be trodden under foot of men. Ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on an hill cannot be hid. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but under a candlestick, and it giveth light unto all that are in the house. Let your light so shine before men, that they may see your good works, the alms, and glorify your Father which is in heaven. Think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill. So he didn't come to make a new thing, like some people say in the church of the Antichrist, that there's a new age of Christians and the old covenant is done and the law is no more, and it's a new law, that the Jesus way, which is all vanity and lies and doctrines of devils. Because he says, think not that I come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill. He come to fulfill the things that was written of him in the law, in the old. For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law till all be fulfilled. Genesis 27 and 41. There's nothing new. They always gonna hate you for the knowledge and teachings that you got. And when it comes out their mouth, it cuts them to their heart. So they wanna fight against the words of Christ. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob. Ecclesiasticus chapter 17, 6 through 11, 13 through 21, 25 through 26, 29, and 31 through 32. Counsel and a tongue and eyes, ears and a heart gave he them to understand. Withal he filled them with the knowledge of understanding and showed them good and evil. He set his eye upon their hearts that he might show them the greatness of his works. He gave them to glory in his marvelous acts forever, that they might declare his works with understanding, and the elect shall praise his holy name. Beside this, he gave them knowledge and the law of life for inheritance. Their eyes saw the majesty of his glory, and their ears heard his glorious voice. And he said unto them, beware of all unrighteousness. And he gave every man commandment concerning his neighbor. Their ways are ever before him, and shall not be hid from his eyes. Every man from his youth is given to evil, neither could they make to themselves fleshly hearts for stony. For in the division of the nations of the whole earth, he set a rule over every people. But Israel is the Creator's portion, whom being his firstborn, he nourishes with discipline, and giveth him the light of his love, doth not forsake him. That's John 3:16 right there. Therefore, all their works are as the sun before him. So they're gonna be light. He gonna be able to see it clear as the day. And his eyes are continually upon their ways. He gonna punish us because he taught us. None of their unrighteous deeds are hid from him, but all their sins are before the Creator. But the Creator, being gracious and knowing his workmanship, neither left nor forsook them, but spared them. So that kills that 700 years of silence, because he never left nor forsook them, but spared them. He was always watching. His hands is always stretched out still. Return unto the Creator and forsake thy sins. Make thy prayer before his face and offend less. Don't add sin upon sin. Turn again to the Most High and turn away from iniquity, for he will lead thee out of darkness into the light of health, and hate thou abomination vehemently. 29. How great is the loving kindness of the Creator our guide, and his compassion unto such as turn unto him in holiness with our whole hearts. What is brighter than the sun? Yet the light thereof faileth, and flesh and blood will imagine evil. He vieweth the power of the height of heaven, and all men are but earth and ashes. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 1 and 12 through 15. For the ungodly said, reasoning with themselves, so they leaning upon their own understanding, but not aright. Our life is short and tedious, and in the death of a man there is no remedy. Neither was there any man known to have returned from the grave. That's YOLO. You only live once. That's what they preach. Therefore, let us lie and wait for the righteous, because he is not for our turn, and he is clean, contrary to our doing. He upbraideth us with our offending the law, and objective to our infamy, the transgressings of our education. He professeth to have the knowledge of Yahweh, and he calleth himself the child of the Creator. But we just speaking the truth. And he was made to reprove our thoughts. He is grievous unto us, even to behold. For his life is not like all other men's. His ways are of another fashion. So we gonna come in the name of our Father, as same as Christ. Salvation comes in the name of Him, the Father, because Christ gonna be in us, and the Father gonna be in Christ. So we gonna be all one. Ecclesiasticus chapter 3, verse 19, 21, 23 through 24, and 26 through 28. Many are in high place and of renown, but mysteries are revealed unto the meek. Seek not all things that are too hard for thee, neither search the things that are above thy strength. Be not curious in unnecessary matters, for more things are showed unto thee than men understand. For many are deceived by their own vain opinion, and an evil suspicion have overthrown their judgment. Verse 26. A stubborn heart shall fare evil at the last, and he that loveth danger shall perish therein. An obstinate heart shall be laden with sorrows, and the wicked man shall heap up sin upon sin. In the punishment of the proud there is no remedy, for the plant of the wickedness, for the plant of wickedness have taken root in him. That's the wormwood and gall. Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 14 through 25. The Spirit of God of hosts have sworn by himself, saying, surely I will fill thee with men as with caterpillars, and they shall lift up a shout against thee. He hath made the earth by his power. He hath established the world by his wisdom, and hath stretched out the heaven by his understanding. Verse 16. When he utters his voice, there is a multitude of waters in the heavens, and he causeth the vapors to ascend from the ends of the earth. He maketh lightnings with rain, and bringeth forth the wind out of his treasures. Every man is brutish by his knowledge. Every founder is confounded by the graven image. For his molten image is falsehood, and there is no breath in them. They are vanity, the work of errors. In the time of their visitation, they shall perish. The portion of Jacob is not like them, for he is the former of all things, and Israel is the rod of his inheritance. The Spirit of God of hosts is his name, Jehovah. Thou art my battle axe and weapons of war. For with thee will I break in pieces the nations, and with thee will I destroy kingdoms, and with thee will I break in pieces the horse and his rider, and with thee will I break in pieces the chariot and his rider. With thee also will I break in pieces man and woman, and with thee will I break in pieces old and young, and with thee will I break in pieces the young man and the maid. I will also break in pieces with thee the shepherd and his flock, and with thee will I break in pieces the husbandman and his yoke of oxen, and with thee will I break in pieces captains and rulers, and I will render unto Babylon and to all the inhabitants of Chaldea all their evil they ha- that they have done in Zion in your sight, says the Spirit of God. Behold, I am against thee, O destroying mountain, says the Spirit of God, which destroyest all the earth, and I will stretch out mine hand upon thee, and roll thee down from the rocks, and will make thee a burnt mountain. John chapter 5, 16 through 20, 24 through 25, 29 through 30, and 34. And therefore did the Jews persecute Yahushua and sought to slay him, because he had done these things on the Sabbath day. But Yahushua answered them, my Father worketh hereof and I work. Therefore the Jews sought the more to kill him, because he not only had broken the Sabbath, but said also that Yahweh was his Father, making himself equal with Yahweh. But they didn't have no understanding of what he was saying, because they was in darkness. Then answered Yahushua and said unto them, verily, verily, I say unto you, the servant can do nothing of himself, but what he see the Father do. For what things soever he doeth, these also doeth the Son likewise. And we just seen what the Father does in the precepts before this. He gonna tear down. He gonna break in pieces. And that's what Yahushua was doing to them. and they couldn't take it. That's why they wanted to kill him. For the Father loveth the Son, the servant, and showeth him all things that himself doeth, and he will show him greater works than these, that ye may marvel. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that heareth my word and believeth on him that sent me hath everlasting life, and shall not come into condemnation, but is passed from death unto life. Verily, verily, I say unto you, the hour is coming, and now is, when the dead shall hear the voice of the servant of Yahweh, and they that hear shall live, because he is life, he is the truth, and he is the way. And shall come forth they that have done good unto the resurrection of life. So that's one side of the plumb line. And they that have done evil unto the resurrection of damnation. That's the other side. Um, Many are called, but few are chosen. I can of my own self do nothing. As I hear, I judge, I teach. And my teachings and doctrines, my judgment is just, because I seek not my own will, but the will of the Father which hath sent me. Verse 34. But I receive not testimony from man. See, this ain't a doctrines of men or a heritage of the man of man. But these things I say that ye might be saved. And we only gonna be saved by wisdom. So that's what he was dropping on us. John chapter 11, 45 through 48. Then many of the Jews which came to Mary, the followers of Christ, which came to Mary and had seen the things which salvation did, believed on him. But some of them went their ways to the Pharisees and told them what things salvation had done. Then gathered the chief priests and the Pharisees a council. So they getting together and said, what do we? For this man doeth many miracles. If we, but see, they looking carnally, they looking upon the man instead of looking upon what's inside the man, the spirit that does all things. The flesh is weak, but the spirit is the prophet. If we let him thus alone, all men will believe on him, and the Romans shall come and take away both our place and nation. But they don't know that the Romans already, what we know today, if they knew then, they would have hearkened. But their hearts were seared, their minds were seared with a hot iron, and their hearts were stony. So they couldn't receive it. And it was the will of God for all this to happen, for us to come over here and for them to kill the prophet, for the spirit can go back and come back and comfort us and teach us all things and bring us to our remembrance, because he knew our stiff hearts, stiff-necked people will end up going Deuteronomy 28:68 back into captivity. Second Maccabees chapter 8, verse 1 through 4 and 8. Then Judas Maccabeus, and that they were with him, went privately into the towns, and called their kinsfolk together, and took unto them all such as continue in the Jews' religion, following of Christ, and assembled about 6,000 men. And they called upon the Creator that he would look upon the people that was trodden down of all, and also pity the temple profane of ungodly men, and that he will have compassion upon the city, sore defaced and ready to be made even with the ground because we lost our savior. We supposed to be the salt, so we trod him. And hear the blood that cried unto him, and remember the wicked slaughter of harmless infants, and the blasphemies committed against his name, his way, and that he will show his hatred against the wicked. Verse 8. So when Philip saw that this man increased by little and little, and that the things prospered with him still more and more, he wrote unto Ptolemy, the governor of Seleucia and Phoenix, to yield more aid to the king's affair. So they wanted to stop Judas Maccabeus teachings, just like they wanted to stop Yahushua's teaching of the truth, the gospel, the message of remembrance. Second Maccabees chapter 8, 9 through 18. Then forthwith choosing Nicanor, the son of Patroclus, one of his special friends, he sent him no fewer than 20,000 of all nations under him to root out the whole generation of the Jews. And with him he joined also Georgius, a captain who in matters of war had great experience. So they was ready to do us in, our forefathers. So Nicanor undertook to make so much money of the captive Jews, it's always about money, as should defray the tribute of 2,000 talents, which the king was to pay to the Romans. So he was going to use us for payment to the Romans. And that's how Paul became a Roman, and all the rest of the people became Gentiles that was in the New Testament. Wherefore immediately he sent to the cities upon the seacoast, proclaiming a sale of the captive Jews, and promising that they should have 80 bodies for 1 talent, not accepting the vengeance that was to follow upon him from the Almighty God. Now when word was brought unto Judas and Nicanor's coming, unto Judas of Nicanor's coming, and he had imparted unto those that were with him that the army was at hand, they that were fearful and distrusted the justice of Yahweh fled and conveyed themselves away. So they the ones they got captive. They didn't have no protection, so they went to Rome. Others sold all that they had left, and withal besought the Creator to deliver them, sold by the wicked Nicanor before they met together. And if not for their own sakes, yet for the covenants he had made with their fathers. So if this ain't God inspired, how do they know about the covenant? And for his holy and glorious name's sake, by which they were called. So Maccabeus called his men together unto the number of 6,000 and exhorted them, same as Paul always did. He exhorted his brethren, them not to be stricken with terror of the enemy, nor to fear the great multitude of the heathen who came wrongly against them, but to fight manfully, and to set before their eyes the injury that they had unjustly done to the holy place, and the cruel handling of the city, whereof they made a mockery, and also the taking away of the government of their forefathers. So way back then, even we didn't have a government. For they said he trusts in their weapons and boldness, but our confidence is in the Almighty, who at a beck can cast down both them that come against us and also all the world. Psalms chapter 44, 1 through 4, 7 through 14, and 17 through 21. We have heard with our ears, O Yahweh, our fathers have told us what work thou didst in their days, in the times of old, how thou didst drive out the heathen with thine hand and plantest them, how thou didst afflict the people and cast them out. For they got not the land in possession by their own sword, neither did their own arm save them, but thy right hand and thine arm and the light of thine countenance, because thou hast a favor left unto them. Thou art my king, O Yahweh, command deliverance for Jacob. Verse 7. But thou hast saved us from our enemies and hast put them to shame that hated us. In Yahweh we boast all the day long and praise thy name forever, Selah. But thou hast cast off and put us to shame, and goest not forth with our armies. Thou makest us to turn back from the enemy, and they which hate us spoil for themselves. Thou hast given us like sheep appointed for meat, and hast scattered us among the heathen. Thou sellest thy people for naught, and does not increase thy wealth by their price. Thou makest us a reproach to our neighbors, a scorn and a derision to them that are round about us. Thou makest us a byword among the heathen, a shaking of the head among the people. All this is come upon us, yet have we not forgotten thee, neither have we dealt falsely in thy covenant. Our heart is not turned back, neither have our steps declined from thy way, thy name. Though thou hast sore broken us in the place of dragons and covered us with the shadow of death, if we have forgotten the name of our God or stretched out our hands to a strange God, shall not Yahweh search this out? For he knoweth the secrets of the heart. Deuteronomy 27 and 15. Cursed be the man that maketh any graven or molten image in abomination unto the Spirit of God, the work of the hands of the craftsman, and put it in a secret place, and all the people shall answer and say, Amen. John 17:6 through 9. I have manifested thy name unto the men which thou gavest me out of the world. Thine they were, and thou gavest them me, and they have kept thy word. Now they have known that all things whatsoever thou hast given me are of thee. For I have given unto them the words which thou gavest me. Deuteronomy 18:18. And they have received them, and have known surely that I came out from thee, and they have believed that thou didst send me. I pray for them, I pray not for the world, but for them which thou hast given me, for they are thine. Psalms 119, 2, 4, verse 2, 4, and 6 through 8. Blessed are they that keep his testimonies, and that seek him with the whole heart. Thou hast commanded us to keep thy precepts diligently. Then shall I not then shall I not be ashamed when I have respect unto all thy commandments. I will praise thee with uprightness of heart, when I shall have learned thy righteous judgments, the teachings and doctrines. I will keep thy statutes. Forsake me not utterly. Matthew chapter 10, 33 through 40. But whosoever shall deny me before men, him will I also deny before my Father, which is in heaven. Think not that I am come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword. For I am come to set a man at variance against his father, and the daughter against her mother, and the daughter in law against her mother in law. And a man's foes shall be they of his own household. He that loveth father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. And he that loveth son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. And he that taketh not his cross, the suffering unto death, and followeth after me, is not worthy of me. He that findeth his life shall lose it, because you're not suffering unto death. You enjoying life, living your best life now. So you can't get two lives. He that loses his life for my sake shall find it. So you're gonna be persecuted in this life for the righteousness, things that you speak out of your mouth when you speak uprightly in the truth. And they gonna forsake you, but your reward is Yahweh, and He's our shield, just like He told Abram in the beginning. Isaiah chapter 55, verse 1 through 9 and 11 through 13. Ho, everyone that thirsteth, come ye to the waters, and he that have no money, come ye, buy and eat. Yea, come buy wine and milk without money and without price. Wherefore do ye spend money for that which is not bread, and your labor for that which satisfieth not? Hearken diligently unto me, and eat ye that which is good, and let your soul delight itself in fatness. See, these are the parables and dark speeches that we got to break down diligently through precepts. Incline your ear and come unto me. Hear, and your soul shall live, and I will make an everlasting covenant with you. And even the sure mercies of David, behold, I have given him for a witness to the people, a leader and commander to the people. Behold, remember, thou shalt call a nation that thou knowest not, and nations that knew not thee shall run unto thee because of the Spirit of God thy guide, and for the Holy One of Israel, for he hath glorified thee. Seek ye the Spirit of God while he may be found. Call ye upon him while he is near, because ain't no worshiping him when you dead. Ain't no praising him in the grave. Let the wicked forsake his way, and the unrighteous man his thoughts, and let him return unto the Spirit of God, and he will have mercy upon him, and to our guide, for he will abundantly pardon. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, says the Spirit of God. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. So shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing whereto I sent it. For ye shall go out with joy and be led forth with peace. The mountains and the hills shall break forth before you into singing, and all the trees of the field shall clap their hands. Instead of the thorn shall come up the fir tree, and instead of the briar shall come up the myrtle tree, and it shall be to the Spirit of God for a name, for an everlasting sign that shall not be cut off. John 6, verse 35 through 45, 51 through 52, 57 through 58, 60, and 63 through 65. And salvation said unto them, I am the bread of life. he that cometh to me shall never hunger, and he that believeth on me shall never thirst. But I said unto you that ye also have seen me and believe not. All that the Father giveth me shall come to me, and him that cometh to me I will in no wise cast out. For I came down from heaven not to do mine own will, but the will of him that sent me. And this is the Father's will, which hath sent me, that of all which he hath given me I shall lose nothing, but shall raise it up again at the last day. And this is the will of him that sent me, that every one which seeth the servant and believeth on him may have everlasting life, and I will raise him up at the last day. The Jews, the follower of Christ, the fake follower of Christ, then murmured at him, because he said, I am the bread which came down from heaven. But they wasn't using preceptual knowledge. They was using their own understanding. And they said, is not this Jesus, Yahushua, the son of Joseph, whose father and mother we know? How is it then that he said, I came down from heaven? Jesus, therefore, salvation, therefore answered and said unto them, murmur not among yourselves. No man can come to me except the Father which have sent me draw him, and I will raise him up at the last day. So the Father made him a fisherman of men also. It is written in the prophets, and they shall be all taught of Yahweh. Every man, therefore, that have heard and have learned of the Father cometh unto me. I am the living bread which came down from heaven. If any man eat of this bread, he shall live forever. And the bread that I will give is my flesh, which I give for the life of the world. This is parables and dark speeches. He's speaking in holy tongues that only can be discerned by precepts and studying to show thyself approved, rightly dividing the word of truth. The Jews therefore strove among themselves, saying, how can this man give us his flesh to eat? As the living Father hath sent me, and I live by the Father, so he that eateth me, even he shall live by me. This is that bread which came down from heaven, not as your fathers did eat manna, and are dead. He that eateth of this bread shall live forever. Many therefore of his disciples, when they had heard this, said, this is an hard saying. Who can hear it? It is the spirit that quickeneth, the flesh profiteth nothing. The words that I speak unto you, they are spirit, and they are life. But they are some of you that believe not. For salvation knew from the beginning who they were that believed not, and who should betray him. And he said, therefore said I unto you, that no man can come unto me, except it were given unto him of my Father. John 14:18 through 19, and 25 through 27. It's nothing new. He's always with us if we obey and hearken to his voice. Then he can do his work inside of us. I will not leave you comfortless. I will come to you. Yet a little while, and the world seeth me no more. But ye see me, because I live. Ye shall live also. Verse 25. These things have I spoken unto you, being yet present with you in our hearts. We see it we see it on paper, we receive it, we hear it, and we hide it in our hearts once we understand through the precepts. But the Comforter, which is the Holy Ghost, whom the Father will send in my name, in his way, he shall teach you all things and bring all things to your remembrance, whatsoever I have said unto you. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you. Not as the world giveth, give I unto you. Let your heart be troubled. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. And this is the end of the teaching. There's nothing new. Don't be fearful, but be content and keep studying and endure to the end. Shalom.
Dahu forage, Dahu dorage, welcome Christmas, come this way. Dahu forage, Dahu dorage, welcome Christmas, Christmas Day. Welcome, welcome, Dahu Ramus, welcome, welcome, Dahu Ramus. Christmas Day is in our grasp, so long as we have hands to clasp.
And they'll sing and they'll sing and they'll sing, 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 sing.